Backlash building over New York City-based psychiatrist saying she fantasizes about killing white people during a speech at Yale University. Dr. Aruna Kilanani making those explosive comments in a guest lecture to medical students back in April.
I had fantasies of unloading a revolver into the head of any white person that got in my way, burying their body, and wiping my bloody hands as I walked away relatively guiltless. With a bounce in my step, like I did the world a favor. White people are out of their minds, and they have been for a long time. We are asking a demented, violent predator who thinks that they're a saint or a superhero to accept responsibility. It ain't gonna happen. They have 5 holes in their brain.
The psychiatrist claims she was taken out of context and was speaking metaphorically, and Yale is now backtracking, saying in a statement that those comments are antithetical to school values, but the university was well aware of the speech and reportedly restricted online viewing after it happened. So, Dana, it seems like the doctor needs a doctor.
Right, so this class that she was teaching was one that would allow you to get your licensing credit. So it's one of the ones that you had to take. So this is the kind of thing that is allowed, right? So if you wanted to become a psychiatrist, you could go to this lecture and take her class. As I read that entire interview that she did with Bari Weiss, and I have to say, like, to me, I'm not a psychiatrist, obviously, but I was like, this person is insane. And the fact that Yale tried to suppress views, like, where have we heard that before? Like, is that censorship? Like, is that wrong? That they knew that it could cause them a big problem. I can't imagine that they want this kind of person there. Now, some people might say, that's just one lady. It's just one crazy, it's just one lady, and it's not representative. But when you think about how much we're all talking in the country about critical race theory curriculum that's being suggested for schools, districts all across the country, like this type of thing is happening at the universities, then where do they go next? Right? They graduate.
Yeah, absolutely. You make the point that, you know, this is a class you could take for credits. Well, that means that you're supposed to take what she's saying seriously, and as if this is something that should be credible in terms of an argument. But Geraldo, basically what she's saying is you're allowed to murder white people for the sake of them being white. That sounds pretty racist to me.
Well, I don't know about you white people, but...
Is it racist? Is it?
What you mean, we?
It is.
First of all, this absolutely confirms my theory that all psychiatrists are crazy.
You just smeared a whole group based on...
I did. I smeared the whole group.
But you want to answer my question.
This casual hatred is very, very troubling, and it underlies a lot of a vibe that's out there right now where you have, talk about critical race theory, you have critical race relations going on all over the place, this one to that one and this one to that one. I think it's very, very troubling. I was a fellow at Yale at Calhoun College, named after Senator John C. Calhoun, from, the early 19th century, who was a racist, apparently. John Kennedy said he was one of the great senators ever, but they rediscovered that he was a racist a few years ago, and so they changed the name of Calhoun College, where I was a Calhoun Fellow, and I quit. I quit because it was so gratuitous. It was so, they were so politically correct, and to launch this person and then attempt to cover it up. It's never the crime, it's always the cover up. They got, and I say that I have a beautiful third-year law student at Yale, my daughter. I'm very proud of the association, but this woman is nuts.
Greg?
Yeah, I mean, when Dana said it is, how many minds has she touched that end up in your human resources department, right? Or in public relations. And the goal, without question, is to create a race war. This language isn't about uniting a country. It's about splitting it and making sure that it ends violently. Can you imagine having her as, she has patience. She actually has. Yeah. Could you imagine if she was your analyst? Because she's actually talking about her white patients publicly. And she was not using their names, but lumping them in and describing them as guilt-ridden, bread-rejecting freaks. Which is when you generically apply like a certain kind of identity to a group that's negative, that's racist. She was basically demeaning all of her white patients. Imagine how quickly a white MD would be disbarred if he had publicly publicly, smeared his black patients. Yeah. If he got up there and says, you know the problem with my black patients? A, B, C, and D. That person would be naturally scorned. This backlash that she's experiencing now isn't even a backlash.
Yeah, no.
It's us talking about it while Yale covers it up. She confessed, by the way, in her defense about it being out of context, what she's trying to say is that she once, I believe, was a person so consumed with anger, and that she's confessing it now. She's telling you, this is how I feel because I hate white people so much. And that's the context. The problem is she identifies her problem, but not the source. And her source is the obsession with race. The more people become obsessed with race, the more of this delusion and antipathy and hatred will spread. And it's demonic. It's actually, when you hear that, you feel the presence. It's demonic.
Yeah, Sean?
So I want to make a couple points. So the name of the speech at Yale was The Psychopathic Problem of the White Mind.
Right.
Can you imagine putting any other race in there?
Right.
Insane. So what concerns me is you have all these little kids across America who are being taught that they're white supremacists because they're white, or they're racists because they're white. I mean, how destructive is that for little children? Number one. But what concerns me more is the Democrat Party is pushing this ideology, and they have a long history as racist, segregationists. They supported Jim Crow, and they're doing the same thing here, just in a different way. Now they've switched from black, and now they've gone to white. But this is the MO of Democrats: racism, segregation, separation on race, and it will destroy our country.
Yeah, it comes down to identity politics, which is now manifesting itself in a worse ideology, which is critical race theory. All right, up next, a center in the sports world.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.